my good friend, the queen of heavy metal herself, Lita Ford. When they asked me if I would do this interview, I was absolutely thrilled because it's always such a blast. You recently made an appearance in a commercial for Indeed, where you celebrate your new dream job as a high school music teacher. And I noticed you're playing this beat up Strat and this little crappy amplifier, and you still sound like Lita. And I've seen you play. You've picked up a Telecaster, plug it in. You still sound like Lita. We know that your guitars are loaded with Seymour Duncan pickups, but what else is there to your sound? What's the secret? How do you sound like Lita?
I think most major guitar players that have developed their own style after the years and years of playing can play through anything and sound like themselves. It wasn't easy because it was a crappy guitar. It was like a toy. And the amplifier, I think, was from 1920 something. It was so old. But I think if you develop your own style, it's going to come through, it's going to shine through, and no matter what you play. Right. And that guitar ate my fingers up, but I still sounded like Lita.
I have to say, because of you, I've become a loyal user of the home plate shaped pick.
Oh yeah.
Which basically, really, only you and Richie Blackmore use.
Yeah.
So what is it about this pick that makes it so essential to how you play?
Well, when I first got one, they're made out of carbon fiber. And you know when you do the slides down on the strings, and then your pick is torn.
Right.
The carbon fiber doesn't do that. It doesn't leave a crease in your pick. So I like it for that reason. And also, if I can see that
Absolutely.
1 second,
yeah,
it has that tip
right
on it. And that tip adds for instance, Richie Blackmore's style of playing is very faster.
Right.
He gets that double picking going. With a normal pick, it's rounded more, and I can't get the attack of the pick. So when he gave me one of these, it was perfect for my style of playing, and I fell in love with it. Never used another different kind of pick since.
Awesome.
Another kind of pick. It doesn't work. Patrick loans me his picks. Sometimes I'll forget one, and I can't use them. Just can't use them.
I've gotten so used to that particular.
I miss the tip.
Right.
The tip is gone, so
Right.
I end up hitting two strings at one
Right.
time. It just doesn't work.
So a lot of guitar players are also guitar collectors, or they have a favorite guitar. You've always played a BC Rich. Is there any one of those BC Riches or any other guitar that is like your favorite, your go-to, or you just find yourself naturally, like even maybe that fans haven't seen, but it's one that you're always like, yeah, that's the one, that's my favorite?
Yeah. I have a few. I have a few of them, and they're monster guitars, and the Yellow Mockingbird is one. It sounds great on stage, it sounds great in the studio, and it stays in tune. That guitar is a godsend, and it growls like the devil. It's balls to the walls. It has that whammy bar on it. I can make the strings hang off that neck, and it just goes right back into tune when I let go of the whammy bar. So that guitar is one of my favorites. Plus it's such a bright yellow that it's really, yeah,
Absolutely.
It really stands out. And of course the double neck. The double neck is iconic. It's a prototype. It's the only one of its kind. It's actually smaller than the original models because I'm only 5'5". People think I'm a lot taller because I wear heels, but I'm only 5'5". So when I put on the original double neck Rich Bitch, which I believe a friend of mine just got one. He got the original,
Right.
And he can't reach the bottom neck because it's too long. You have to have it a little bit smaller or wear it up higher, and then you got the top neck up here, which looks retarded. So I drop it a little bit, so I've got one neck up here and the bottom neck down here, so it's reachable.
Right.
But that is a prototype, and it says on the back of the headstock the date, which was 1982, prototype, and then on the other headstock it says, "We love you, Lita, BC Rich Guitars."
Nice.
And it's close to my heart.
So you've got a lot of things coming up in 2016, one of which is your highly anticipated autobiography. I'm not going to ask you to give anything away, but what can you tell fans about the process of writing the story of your life? How do you go back and decide what to include when your career spans 4 decades?
That's a good question. It took a while to get started on the book because I couldn't find the right writer to write with me. The first man I wrote with was a chauvinist, and coming out of a marriage where you're married to a chauvinist, it just didn't click. So we got rid of him and moved on to this little young girl who knew nothing about rock and roll at all. She knew nothing about the band members or any history in music, so that didn't work. And then we moved on to this little Italian chick, and she was a godsend. She helped me finish the book. If I wouldn't have met her, I don't think I would have been finished with the book. I don't think it would be coming out. I believe she was sent to me from God, and for some reason, since I left my ex-husband, who is the devil himself, I've been getting a lot of God sends, and I include her one of them.
One thing I've noticed in the times that we've been someplace together, whether it's backstage or whatnot, that I look around and I noticed in one particular venue, we were the only 2 women back there. It was about 100 people, and you and I were the only females in the place. You've lived your entire career that way. Have you noticed any changes in terms of the rock scene and the women in it, whether as players, as audience members? What changes, if any, have you noticed?
Yeah, a lot, actually. The audience used to be all guys, all dudes. There would be like maybe one chick in the corner that would be scared to death, you know? And there would be a sea of denim and leather. And all just raging dudes. It's pretty scary, you know, and you're up there and you're 17 years old and you got a sea of raging dudes and hormones. But now, 2016, I've noticed that the front row is a lot of women cheering you on, that their husbands are there, their boyfriends are there, they support them, they're fans. So it's a joint effort. It's become a unisex. It's a universal language now. It's not just for men.
Right. We've lost quite a few rock legends in this last month, unfortunately. And one thing I've observed is their larger-than-life stage presence is something that's living on, even though some of the younger people maybe weren't familiar with their music, but they remember the iconic figure that is these people. You're one of those pioneers in the rock scene. What advice do you have for young people in terms of where they get their inspiration from, in terms of stage presence? Aside from great songs, what makes a great performer?
Self-confidence makes a great performer. Having something that's unique and different to offer the audience, so they're not listening to the same old. You know, oh, he looks just like Bret Michaels and sounds just like Bret Michaels. Okay, well, been there, done that. Do something different. I think just to keep the interest going, and, you know, people start to draw to you and what you do and start to expand your brand and your fan base. I think you just follow your heart. Do what's true to your heart and your soul. And that brings out your style.
Your last studio album, Living Like a Runaway, was a triumphant return to that classic Lita sound that all the fans love so much. You've mentioned you're working on some new stuff. I'm going to ask you that dreaded question. When can fans expect to hear some new Lita Ford music?
Well, we just finished mastering some 24-track analog tapes that I had in my closet. There's a story behind them, which will come out in the bio. I had to go and get them and bring them back, bake them because they were from the 80s. We had to bake them so they didn't flake once we put them on the reel.
Right.
We were afraid we were going to lose them. So if you bake them, it keeps all the stuff from coming off. And we baked them. I'm praying, oh my God, don't flake. And it didn't. Everything's fine. So we were able to transfer analog to digital. And now we made a throwback time capsule album that I think there's a lot of celebrities on it. There's some amazing songs on it. And we didn't touch one note.
Nice.
It is as it was. Nothing's been fixed or layered or duplicated. It's just as it was, just transferred to digital. That's it.
Nice. So what else is next? You've got a book coming out. You've got this album. You're still touring.
Yes.
So that's 2016 in the year of Lita Ford.
Yes, we got a lot of shows this year. A lot of shows. We have a tour we haven't announced yet. So with the tour, we'll have the book, we'll have the throwback album,
Right.
And we're also writing a new album.
Right.
So there's a lot of writing going on at the moment.
Lita, it's been an honor and a pleasure as always. Thank you so much. Be sure to pick up a copy of Lita's book, the new album, see her on tour.
Right on.